My Hebrew Israelites, brothers and sisters, welcome back. This is your Moray, YAHUAH ben Uriah Israel. And I just want to take this moment to thank you for your prayers and thank you for your subscriptions. We still need about 270 to be able to go online, to go live. And so we're going to depend on you to pray and talk with your friends and loved ones and encourage them to subscribe. Encourage them to subscribe to this channel. The channel is The Journey Back to YAHUAH. And we trust that as we get the subscriptions that we need, we can go live and we'll be able to cover more ground. Right now, we have quite a lot of, we want to do Bible study, in other research. I have a lot of information that I'm waiting to talk about, but just 15 minutes won't allow us to do it. We have to come back several sessions, and sometimes it loses the beauty of what you're trying to say. You cut here and you stop and you start again and you cut here and you. So we want to be able to go live and we'll be able to have more time. We can extend what we're saying so that it'll be very beneficial to everyone who participates, everyone who's listening in. So we thank you. Today we want to talk about injustice. Injustice. You know that we don't have to open our mouth too much, to understand. Because when you look on us, dark grown people, you see how injustice have caused us to be where we are in many cases. Okay? Injustice. In this country, the US, in Europe, and the Caribbean islands, the continent of Africa, everywhere you turn, injustice. And most times, the people who get the end of the stick, we, dark brown people, referred to as black people. But let me say this. In the book of Habakkuk, Habakkuk the prophet, he was faced with a similar situation. So the prophet Habakkuk is what you would refer to him as a rather obscure person or figure. But let me say this. His book, the book of Habakkuk, very short, just about three chapters. Well, let me say this. It is referred to as one of the gems of the Torah. One of the gems of the Torah. And it seems to have been written shortly before what you refer to the battle of Carchemish, right around 605 BC. And it was when Babylon, or the Babylonian Empire, became what you refer to as the undisputed power. Okay? And we see there that Habakkuk, his problem was what we refer to, there's a word, is theodicy. Theodicy are what we refer to as divine justice. And so we know that he sees violence. That's what he saw. Violent law breaking, injustice, and all of these were going unpunished. And one of the things that he just could not take is that YAHUAH was not moving fast enough for him. So he complained in chapter 1. He complained to YAHUAH about the injustice that he saw. Then, you know, how all these different wicked people were just going and just going and going, and no one was punishing them. You know, they were just, you know, just going. And in Habakkuk chapter 1 and verse 5, he said, "Behold, I see among the heathen," you know, and regard, and he said, and wonder marvelously. Yeshua was telling him, because he said, "I will work a work in your days, which will not believe." Habakkuk was complaining. Verses 1 through 4, right? He's complaining, but in verse 5, YAHUAH is telling him, say, he going to work a work that not even Habakkuk will believe it. He said, he's going to be such a work that he will not believe it, though it be told him. And in verse 6 it says, "For lo, I raise up the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation, which shall march through the breadth of the land to possess it, and the dwelling places that are there to take it as theirs." Everything. He referred to these people as having horsemen. The horses are so swift like they're flying, like eagles, to tell you how powerful they are, right? But this is what YAHUAH was going to use. YAHUAH was going to use the Chaldeans. The Chaldean people. They're from Chaldea, of the Chaldees. That same place where our great-grandfather came from. Okay? And these people were Hamitic people. Let me tell you, are probably mixed with Hamitic and Shemitic. You know, they were probably mixed there. But these people were fierce, strong. They were the ones that came the Assyrian Empire when they took the 10 tribes in captivity. It was these people were part of the army and those people that came and besieged Jerusalem and took the city. But he said he's going to raise them up. And in verse 7 he talks about how terrible these people are. They're very terrible and they're dreadful, and their judgment and their dignity shall proceed of themselves. Shall proceed of themselves. He said their horses are swifter than the leopard, and are more fierce than the evening wolves. And the horsemen spread themselves, and the horsemen shall come from afar. They shall fly as the eagle that hasteth to eat. Now, I don't know if you ever watch the program like the Animal Kingdom, and you see the leopards. Have you ever seen a leopard run? The same speed a leopard is going straight, it can take a corner, it can make a turn, it can take an 45 degrees turn at the same speed, to tell you how, because the way the bone structures arranged, okay, and they can't just be just going and going and going and going and going and just turn the same speed and continue, especially when they're running after they prey. Well, these are some of this is how swift these horses are going to be running. The evening wolves and all them, they are, okay. And so Yahuwah is telling Habakkuk to be patient. Because when we think that things are going wrong and we don't have control, remember who is in control. Yahuwah is in control. You see, the Israelite people, the Hebrew Israelite people, they're gotten to this point where they're just they were unmanageable. Yahuwah had to do something to calm them down. Because they had turned away from Yahuwah in such a way that violence and injustice and all these things will not matter to them. What Yahuwah said, he was going to take charge of this. He was going to be in charge. So we see here that Habakkuk, he just could not take the injustices. He couldn't take the injustices. Internally, he said he saw violence, he saw law breaking, injustice, all of this go unpunished. So he questioned Yahuwah, and Yahuwah answered him. And you know what? The answer that Yahuwah gave him made him more troubled. The answer that Yahuwah gave him made him more troubled because he wanted to see some action. And Yahuwah doesn't work the way we work. He doesn't work the way we work. He works in his own time. But he reassured Habakkuk by telling him that if he could only wait, it would all be clear to him. This satisfied Habakkuk. And with renewed faith, my brothers and my sisters, with renewed faith, Habakkuk seemed to conclude that given Yahuwah's holiness, his own questions that he questioned Yahuwah was unjustified. Given his holiness, who am I to question Yahuwah when things not going the way I want it to go? Who am I? Yahuwah is in control. So we have to allow him to take the reign. We have to allow Yahuwah to take the reign and do his thing. We got to stop here and come back. But let me say this, my brothers and my sisters. We thank you for your subscriptions. And we ask that you continue to subscribe. We ask that you continue to ask your friends and loved ones to subscribe. And we are going to ask you to be a blessing to someone today and walk with the King. Shalom.